Blues guitarist Stevie Ray Vaughan. It happened as Vaughan and 3 stage crew members left a performance on Eric Clapton's tour in Wisconsin last night. Clapton was not in the helicopter. All 5 on board were killed. Civil Air Patrol says the chopper hit a ski hill. It was en route to Chicago and crashed near the Alpine Valley Music Theater. Ironically, Vaughan was a last-minute addition to the Clapton tour. He was supposed to start his own European tour next week. In Mattapan, residents of Lorna Road are trying to get their...
Very fine job with their coverage of keeping us up to date on what happened and why Stevie Ray Vaughan was so very, very important. So we do have the news coming up as well as some Stevie Ray Vaughan music. It's all ahead.
This is MTV News. I'm John Norris. Guitar great Stevie Ray Vaughan was killed early Monday morning in a helicopter crash at Alpine Valley in East Troy, Wisconsin. Vaughan, who would have turned 36 on October 3rd, was leaving the venue after a Sunday night concert there, in which he'd shared the bill with Eric Clapton and Robert Cray. Vaughan's helicopter apparently lost its bearings in heavy fog and crashed into a man-made ski hill. Also killed in that crash, along with Vaughan and the helicopter pilot, were Bobby Brooks, a respected booking agent with the Contemporary Artists Agency, and 2 members of Eric Clapton's road crew, bodyguard Nigel Brown and tour manager Colin Smythe. The copter disintegrated on impact into hundreds of pieces which scattered over a wide area, and the local coroner's office says it looks like everyone in the copter died instantaneously. Vaughan's manager Charles Comer told us that Stevie Ray could have been driven out of Alpine Valley in a van, but gave his seat to someone else and opted instead for the ill-fated chopper. The fact that he had shared the Alpine Valley bill Sunday night with Eric Clapton and Robert Cray only begins to give an idea of the respect Vaughan's guitar playing had earned among peers as well as fans. Here's a look at the all-too-brief career of the late Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Born in Dallas, Vaughan dropped out of high school and moved to Austin, where he fronted a succession of bands from the mid-70s on. In the early 80s, his brilliant high-energy blues began attracting the support of people who could help him out. The Rolling Stones became outspoken admirers. David Bowie recruited Vaughan to play on his Serious Moonlight album. Finally, legendary talent scout John Hammond signed Vaughan, and in 1983 merged with Double Trouble to immediate acclaim. They released a total of 5 albums, the latest of which was last year's In Step. Vaughan, who was one of the most respected blues-based guitarists in all of contemporary rock, received 6 Grammy nominations in his career and won a Best Traditional Blues Recording Grammy in 1984 for a live version of Texas Flood on an album called Blues Explosion. At Alpine Valley Sunday night, Stevie Ray was joined on stage by his brother Jimmy, who recently left the fabulous Thunderbirds to record a duet album with Stevie Ray. That album, entitled Family Style, was something of a reunion for the brothers, whose conflicting road schedules had largely kept them apart.
We've probably gotten closer making this record than we have been since we were little kids at home. And I needed it. I can honestly say I needed it.
And Stevie Ray and Jimmy Vaughan's album titled Family Style will be released in late September. Meantime, in mid-September, the Vaughan brothers will be heard on 3 tracks on Bob Dylan's new album, Under the Red Sky. Monday afternoon, Eric Clapton, who shared this Alpine Valley stage with Stevie Ray just hours before Vaughan's death, and who himself lost 2 close associates in the crash, called the deaths a tragic loss. That is the news for now. Stay tuned for more music right now here on MTV.
MTV News. You hear it first.
You You know, Stevie Ray Vaughan was discovered by Mick Jagger. Stevie playing in a little bar in Texas. Mick Jagger saw him and got him onto the bill at the Montreux Music Festival. And I was looking through my file.
Vaughan had just left a concert in Milwaukee. He, the pilot, and 3 members of rock star Eric Clapton's entourage were heading to Chicago. But fog was heavy. The copter hit a ski hill. Vaughan won 2 Grammys for his blues guitar work. He also won a long battle against drugs and alcohol. Friend Eric Clapton called him one of the best guitarists in the world. Stevie Ray Vaughan was 35.
Mourning the death of blues guitarist Stevie Ray Vaughan. Vaughan, 3 members of Eric Clapton's entourage, and a pilot died when the helicopter they were riding in slammed into a ski hill in dense fog early this morning. Vaughan had just finished a performance with Clapton and 3 other well-known bluesmen. The helicopter was taking them into Chicago. Vaughan took the last seat at the last minute. Joyce Kulhawick will look back at Vaughan's career later in this newscast. Jack.
23 passengers and a rescue worker received minor injuries.
Vaughan and his band Double Trouble had played in Manchester in July as part of the city's Downtown in the Park concert series. The renowned jazz and blues performer, along with 4 members of guitarist Eric Clapton's entourage, were killed when their chopper went down before dawn. Stevie Ray Vaughan was 35 years old.
The musician. The gap continues to widen between the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. Toronto is...
I don't think, one of the last times that I ever heard Stevie Ray Vaughan play the guitar. It was at Great Woods in July of '87. He had been drug and alcohol-free for 8 months. On stage, he played his own brand of blues and rock and roll, and I remember saying that his guitar playing was like liquid fire, fast, fluid, and full of raw feeling.
Stevie Ray Vaughan developed his love for the blues while growing up in Dallas, Texas. His style was often compared to that of Jimi Hendrix and many of the old blues masters. But over the years, he developed a fluid, dynamic style of his own, winning 2 Grammy Awards, including one just this past year for his record In Step. This afternoon at WBCN Radio in Boston, Vaughan fans called disc jockey Mark Parento's show to share their sense of loss.
He had come through the Texas ranks, like I said, and those guys were real down home and take music real seriously, not themselves real seriously, but the music first. And music was his love, and rock and roll was his love, and just a very, very friendly man that really could play the blues.
Just a little over 2 years ago, I spoke with Stevie Ray Vaughan before his performance at Great Woods. He talked about his new sense of purpose after kicking a long-time drug and alcohol problem.
For one thing, I have a different drive now. It used to be more ego drive, you know. Now it has more to do with realizing that I don't have to live that lie anymore and try to turn around that image.
Stevie Ray Vaughan and his brother Jimmy's long-awaited collaboration album Family Style is due out next month, and Vaughan was set to begin a European tour next week. The music lives on. He was one of the most genuine people I have ever met. It was a real treat, and we will miss him.
Well, we're going to try to. All right. Thank you, Joyce. That's it. That's our news tonight, and we'd like to thank you for watching.
And have a good night.